All right, we're live. At least I assume we're live. All right, so it's just this will be a quick live stream of just how I utilize Timecode. Timecode, I think, is probably one of, at least for a small production company, might be like it's extremely useful. Like if you're doing weddings or if you're doing multicam stuff, like Timecode really cuts down. And you have things like your, like I have the little DJI Mini thing, and these are nice when you have two people and you can have one receiver and you can send it into a camera, which will ultimately be faster than Timecode. But in some instances, when you have like three or four people on, Timecode is really, like, in my opinion, the best way to go. Or if you're, you know, if you have a shot that somebody's pretty far away from camera, uh, it's extremely helpful. So I have a project opened up here. Um, my last video that I did months and months ago is when we filmed this. These videos don't need to be released for a long time, so we record pretty far in advance. So we have three cameras, and we have the audio, and obviously the audio is levels are very different. Um, but we have three cameras. These two cameras here are C70s. This middle one here is an R6. Um, and so the first thing that you want to do in DaVinci is import your footage. And once you have it imported, you're pretty much good to go. I keep everything in the same folder. You don't have to keep it all in the same folder. Um, Sorry. This is the first time I've ever gone live, and there's some sort of thing going on here. Close. Okay. And I don't really expect anybody to watch this live. This might be something somebody watches later on down the road. I just figured I'd try to do it live to kind of demonstrate how long this actually takes. All right, so once you get it all imported, what you want to do is in your metadata up here in the corner, you want to open your metadata up, and you can change down here in your shot and scene. And this if you're on one screen, it's going to be here. If you go two screens, it's going to be somewhere. It's going to be on your second screen. But you go into your shot and scene in your media pool, and you can change this through all group, shot, scene, camera. You can do camera. I just go all groups and then scroll down here until I get to camera number, and I will label this as B. Then I'll come over to the next camera and label this as C, and then the main camera will be A. And then your time code or your audio, I use Tentacle Sync to do time code. So what I'll change is, like, this is the guest, so I'll just change that to guest, and then change this girl's name is Jess, so we'll change it to Jess. Now with cameras that accept time code, you don't have to do anything. The time code will already be there. In fact, if we switch this view to this, you'll see the time code is the same on everything except this one camera here. And start time code here is the same on all of them, but the R6 does not have a time code port. So if you have a camera that does not have a time code port, you'll want to right click it, and you are going to go down to audio sync, update time code from audio track, and that will update the time code. So now everything has the same starting time code. They were all started at different times, but from the sync, it'll all line up. And then all you got to do is you highlight them all, you right click, and you create a multicam. Now, if you had, let's say you had multiple clips from one C70 or one camera, you would highlight them all and then change the camera number, letter, whatever you want to use. You can use this naming convention as whatever you want to do with it. I use A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and right down the line. And then in that case, if you had multiple clips from the same camera, you would title them all, and then you get an option here that says save. All right, so once you've updated your timecode from a camera that doesn't have a timecode port, you just right click it, create new multi-cam using the selected clips. I'll just call this the sync. Angle sync, you want that to be with timecode. You can just leave almost all this the same except angle name. I use camera metadata camera, and then if you want to move source clips to original clips bin, you can. And then I always select detect clips from same camera, and I use the camera, how I titled the camera, and then you can click create. You can come over to your timeline, So we did this all in the media page. You can come over here, scroll this down. Now I'm gonna get 4 audio tracks because the C70s they will import 4 audio tracks. But now you'll have this here, and then if you have a second viewer up, you can go to multicam. You can see everything is synced. If you want to double check your sync, you right click this where your sync is, and let me just change this real quick to display stacked timeline. So and then you right click that and open, and you can create. That's fine. Oops. Oh, sorry. Ignore everything I just said. Right click this and then open in timeline, and you can see that it all synced. If you don't update a camera that doesn't have timecode in it, it will like be way over here off on its own, because it's going to go to whatever the timecode was that it had. And this is where you kind of do all your, you don't do your cuts here. You can do your color grade, and then your audio stuff here. So like, for instance, we don't want these audio tracks. So I'm just hitting option and clicking, and then hitting D on the keyboard to disable those. And then you have the audio tracks here. And what I like to do is I come over to the audio page. I will edit this audio. And you can hear it.
Outcome to be, but so that Serenity.
And that is going through. Let me just do that real quick. And you can hear the actual, this one, the one Jess's has a hum to it. I'm pretty sure you guys can hear that. And that was a problem with the that is a problem with that timecode generator. We have since gotten rid of that one and replaced it. But it's actually pretty easy to fix with AI voice isolation. We'll take it out at 100%. Now we play it and it's gone. But what I do at this point, after it's all synced, I'll come over to the Fairlight tab, and where Jess is talking and the guest is not talking, I will start to duck audio. So like right here, we'll hit play and he's talking, and I do this from the very beginning. I just do this for the whole thing. So I'll select this here where I can then highlight, and I will pull Jess's audio down, and then that'll fix the audio from her. So then you don't get like the echo. Same thing here where Jess is talking. I'll highlight his section where she's talking, and I'll pull his audio down. And once that's done, I will highlight these two clips and go up to timeline audio and then bounce mix to track. And I'll just do it here as an example. And I'll just create a new track. Click OK. This will take a bunch of time to do. But so you can kind of see how long this takes. So I'm on a 2019 MacBook Pro, so we're still running the Intel processor in this, so this would probably run quite a bit faster on an M1 processor, M2, M3, and I think they just came out with the M4s. But just as an example, we'll bounce this track, and after we do all these edits, we'll bounce the track, and then that will be the audio that we'll use in the actual multicam clip. And you'll see we'll get that option. You don't have to update your time code or do anything. It's just going to exist as a third option or a fourth option. Well, when you'll see what I mean here in a second. But this is this is what I think is probably the fastest way to do your audio and get it synced, is via the time code. And you have to do some preliminary things before you get to the actual multicam mix that kind of make everything else in your life easier down the road. And you don't have to do it all. Like, you go do your cuts first and then do your color grade and your audio. It's really, honestly, it's up to you on how you want to do it. You don't have to do it there's no like this is how it has to be done. The only thing that has to be done that way is how you sync the time code, especially when you have a camera that doesn't accept time code. So this is going to bounce, and you'll see we have another new track down here. And now when you go back to your mix, you can actually just delete all these tracks. You don't need those. Option, click that, and then switch camera to angle 6. And this will now have the audio with both of them. And then any tweaks you want to do, this is the one thing, this is why, like, you would tweak all this audio first. So like, clearly Jess is a much higher than he is, and you can pull Jess's audio down this way, or you can go in and you can do it via a compression, but it's going to bounce. But see how this bounce track's not going to change, so you'll have to bounce a new track. So that's why you'll do all your audio edits first and then bounce that track when you're happy with how those two tracks sound. And then you have this, and then what I do is I'll switch to multicam and make sure you click video only. And then, like, if we go to a pretty classic transition here, so Jess is talking here, we can just make a cut here. Jess is talking, I speed through this, then I'll cut to the wide, and then I'll cut to him. And that's how we'll cut this whole thing. And then when you want to color grade it, it's the same thing. You go over to your sync stuff, you go to your color tab, and then you'll have your 3 clips here. And basically whatever I do to these is going to translate immediately over to your multicam. So like, I don't know, we can look at the waveform, and we're a little hot in the midtone, so we can pull the midtones. Well, that's too much. That was delayed. And we can pull up the highlights and maybe pull your shadows down just a little bit. Like whatever you want to do, like whatever crazy, however you want to do it. Like these cameras don't match at all. We have a bunch of hot spots. We were in a little coffee shop. So like we may do that and then add a serial node in here and kind of just brighten these guys up real quick. Make this bigger, soften it out, and lift these the highlights here. And then we can option over this and pull this down just a little bit. This bright spot here is from the light that we had going on. And we do the same thing to his shot. If we want to do any adjustments here, probably pull the midtones down just a little bit, push the highlights. We're not doing anything crazy for this stuff. It's mass-produced content, really, that kind of goes out. And I'm okay with the white balance on these being just a little bit warmer. The C70s match very well, obviously. The R6 is probably off just a little bit. We can come down here, change our color space to not HSV. We're going to go back to use timeline, and then gamma, we're going to change to linear. This is how we do all of our, you just push it over a little bit, and you can check, like if you really want to check everything, you can, I mean, you should, there's a should and what you should do and whatever you decide to do. I'm very much a proponent of do it however you want to do it. Don't worry about how everybody else is doing it. But you can look at them and decide for yourself if these match well enough for you and the content that you're producing. For me, we got some magenta in this shot, so we could definitely take some of that out and pull this down this way a little bit. In that node, we can look at the difference before after. We're getting blues, but this will all translate over to your multicam. So like if we go back, you can see that it's our color grade automatically applied, and that'll make a lot of your stuff easier. But the point of this was just to show how to sync this all up, and then what you can do. Like I said, the DJI products, the Rode products all work really, really well. You could have used it in this, like how we did this. This would definitely be perfectly acceptable. The audio quality is good. But if you have more than two people, then that's when I start to see a real need for timecode. Or like when I shot weddings, we would timecode the weddings because, you know, if you're outside and you have a really windy day or something, timecode's going to save you because you're either going to try to sync off a sound, which is going to be really hard to do when it's windy, and timecode's just going to ignore that altogether. And so that's just how you do it. It's not hard to do. It takes a minute to wrap your head around. You can also do it the other way people like to do it, or you could do it, is if you have the Tentacle Sync, you can use the Tentacle Sync Studio and then basically just drop your files in here and then export this as an XML or an AAF. XML is going to be for Premiere Pro, Final Cut, and then AAF, I believe, is for Avid. I've never used Avid. I used to edit in Premiere, but DaVinci, in my opinion, is just the better option at this point. We've been on DaVinci for 4 years, and I don't foresee us changing. But if you wanted to do it here, same thing. We can just go to the source files, pull them. you don't need these files here, and you can drop them in. And the one thing you have to pay attention to if you're going to do it this way, it's going to analyze these files, is sometimes it doesn't recognize difference between same cameras, and I found that to be like the only issue that we run into. And then you can do a sync map, and you can see right here we have 1, 2, 2, and this is where you have to go in and set the sync group to something different. So we'll go to 5 and then do a sync map, and now you'll have all your cameras will all be here, your audio will all be here, and you can just mute anything you don't want. We're moving pretty slow here. And then you can export this out and then bring it into your editor if you want to. And I believe if you do an XML, you can get an XML to read in DaVinci. I think you have to do a Final Cut, one of the Final Cut options, and then it'll read into DaVinci. But it'll definitely, like XML to Premiere Pro will work. And yeah, I think the thing you're paying attention to when you're actually filming this stuff is that your cameras are all set to whatever frame rate you want to do. So Tentacle Sync will work at 23, 24, and 30. And then all your cameras have to be set to that. If your camera's set to 60 or 120 or whatever, you're not going to be able to sync this. I have heard that if you do 60 frames, you can sync it at 30. I've never tried that. That's up for debate on if it works or doesn't work. So, all right, well, that's what I wanted to show you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.